I'm so glad you got to meet Dan. That's so great. I just wonder.
Honestly, it's
That's
crazy.
awesome.
It's crazy.
You are listening to The Current, and I've got a guest with me, Armenian singer-songwriter Rosa Linn. Now, this year she represented her country of Armenia in the Eurovision Song Contest, where she performed her song Snap. And she placed 20th in the contest. Now, the big victory was how the song took off on TikTok, and Rosa Linn found herself with an international hit, a record deal, now an opening slot on Ed Sheeran's North American tour. That's pretty incredible. Rosa Linn, how are you?
I'm feeling very well. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm great. I love talking to people. I love talking to people with an interesting story, and you certainly have one. Now, before we talk about the Eurovision Song Contest, because I'm interested in hearing about that. As an American, I kind of get the history of it, but it's obviously not quite what it is here as it is in Europe, right? So before we talk about that, I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. We've gotten to know your song Snap quite well on the radio and here in the U.S. So if you could tell me, where did you grow up and when did you start playing and writing music?
I grew up in a small town, Vanadzor, in Armenia. I started making music when I was 11, but I kind of was introduced to that wonderful magical world when I was 6. My parents took me to a musical school and I learned to play the piano. And I started in classical music, which I still adore. But I was kind of, I was a teenager and I was, rock and roll kind of a fan, still am. And I heard, people like Ozzy Osbourne, Steve Tyler, Axl Rose, and all the, Sting, all the geniuses. And I fell in love with that music, and I started also playing guitar, and and songwriting kind of happened naturally. I think it was just meant to be me kind of trying. First of all, it was a self-expression. I just found it very satisfying to talk about my feelings and sing it out to kind of cope with it. So and that's how it kind of became a thing for me. I tried to create a band in my hometown, didn't work out because there wasn't a lot of options for musicians, and especially in the genre that I wanted to be. But luckily, during one of my performances with my so-called band, Tamar Kaprelian, who's my manager now, heard me, and she suggested working together. And of course, she was from the U.S. She's Armenian, but she was from the U.S. and she had all this wonderful connection. And I was like, I have to take this chance. Like, this is my once in a lifetime opportunity. And we started working, and here I am.
Yeah, and here you are. But I love you're speaking my language with all the rock stars that you mentioned. And I think as somebody, like you who's classically trained, I mean, classical music, rock music, really when it comes to composing a song, I mean, you can apply, both with the composition and the ability to like write a really great hook, which I think that you have proven. Now you mentioned Tamar.
Yes.
Now, so how do you get from that point to becoming like a contender to represent your country in the Eurovision Song Contest? Like, I don't really know what that process is like.
Yeah. Well, each country selects the representatives differently. Some of them do like a smaller kind of version of Eurovision for their country. Like in Sweden, you have Melody Festival, and in Italy, you have Sanremo. And Armenia also did that past years, but they kind of swapped the way of choosing the person for Junior Eurovision, and the girl won. They did it internally, and my year, of course they knew Tamar. She was on Eurovision too. They knew about me, and they reached out to me saying, hey, we have like 6 artists that we're kind of choosing from. Would you want to submit a song? And we sent Snap, and everyone loved the song. And it was also, they took a risk sending me because I was nothing like our other representatives. Like, I didn't have any traditional kind of Armenian things. It was literally like a classic American style folk music.
Mm-hmm.
They took a chance. And it seems like it didn't work out, but I feel like it did work out in the end. Because right now Snap is the third most streamed song of Eurovision history on Spotify, and I feel like we're getting closer to the second one. The first one is my dear friend Duncan Lawrence, who I have a single with. So it's just magical. I honestly, people think for a long time after Eurovision, people were like, oh my God, what, like, it's so unfair, blah, blah, blah. We're so sorry. You were very great. Like, don't give up. Don't be disappointed. Don't be upset. And I was not upset at all. I absolutely loved every moment of me being on Eurovision.
I'm talking with Rosa Linn here on The Current. And, I mentioned when I was introducing you, that both are a victory. I mean, that kind of platform, and then what it has led to, and then a platform like TikTok, which my mind is so blown by how powerful of a social media, service that is, and what it has done for a lot of artists. I mean, I think I read that you have 6 million user created videos related to your song. I mean, that is wild. I mean, how do you react to that?
That's a new number for me. I didn't even know. I thought it was kind of 3 million-ish.
Right here. You heard it right here, Rosa Linn. Yep.
It is wonderful. I have to say, when I first started working with, when you're not on your own anymore, you have a team, you have managers, you have A&Rs and everyone. I hated being on socials because I'm such an old spirit. I'm all about old school and pure kind of musician doing music, performer being on stage. Like, my brain just was fighting the idea of, I need to be, am I a blogger now? Who am I? Because nowadays an artist has to do social, everything else plus the core job of being an artist.
Right. Being a creator. Right.
Yeah.
Creating music. Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's also, I'm not just an artist. I write each and every one of my songs. I'm in the room with people. So it's actually a lot of work. And it's, by the end of the day, like, you're just exhausted physically and mentally. And now you need to, like, have your phone, turn the selfie camera and smile and always be positive. And I remember, like, I told myself that the fact that I needed to fake something, I was like, if you want me to do this, I'm not going to fake. I'm not going to be the girl who smiles in the camera always. I do smile in the camera in my own way. When I'm sad, I'm sad. When they tell me, like, send us a facial expression video, or like send us a video of you. If I'm sad, I'm just recording myself being sad, or I'm just, because one thing that I hate the most in this world is fake. I just can't stand it. And I definitely don't want to be fake for my audience, because it's just when you're someone on social media and then people come to see you on stage, and you're the complete opposite. It's just a dissonance, So I really try to, also play by the rules of social media, but also try to stay authentic to myself.
Yeah. And that's the exact word. I was hoping you were going to say that. I mean, I think that is so important. especially now when, there is so much, we have access to so much music. I mean, we can listen to whatever we want whenever we want, but there's something about people being real and an
Yeah.
authenticity that can help you. I mean, it really does like help you, float to the top of everything that's available. And when you describe that, I mean, TikTok and any social media it's nice to hear that you say you have this old soul and that it's about performing on stage and being an artist, because I mean, a lot of this, it's targeted to people your age. I mean, what are you, like 21, 22, something like that? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's cool to hear you say that about being real, because I mean, that's exactly what I hear in the song Snap. It's about being real. I mean, when did you first start writing that song?
I just came back to Armenia from the US. I was an exchange student when I was 17. And, a lot of, and I told this like 100 bajillion times, like what Snap is about. Probably everyone knows already. But I was going through a lot, and I was 18, and I wrote the song, the original idea of Snap when I was 18. And I had I didn't even have it recorded. I was just playing it. And after meeting Tamar and being on the songwriting camp in Armenia, she brought like producers and songwriters from the US. It was like, wow, you get to work with people who wrote like, like airplanes, da, da, da. I was like blown away. And I was in the room with Lars, Ellie, and Jeremy, who are the co-writers of the songs, and I played it for them, and we tweaked it. But it was a year after me having the original idea, and we wrote it, and we had this demo. And what was very interesting about Snap and kind of what it ended up being, first of all, it was just waiting for its time on the shelf for 2-3 years, and then when they chose it they heard the demo, it was just the guitar and this my very bad pronunciation vocals. It's much better now. We tried to do different versions. We had like probably 20 versions of Snap produced, a bit less, a bit. We tried to kind of like fit the Eurovision format, which doesn't exist really. And we ended up using the version that was the closest to demo. I think we just did the demo. And the reason behind it was every version that we tried it just lost the spirit of the song. That kind of effortless. Snap is so effortless. And it's just so genuine and pure. And when you tried to produce it, it just like completely turned into a very bad song. Like nothing like it is now. So sometimes you just need to like try everything to convince yourself that the original version is the best one, and convince everyone else that's the one.
Yeah, and I love hearing that. It could kind of getting behind the creative process, and realizing that you have something pure, you can shine it up and you can make it sound any way you want, but then like stripping all of that away and realizing, well, no, it was in its pure form to begin with. And again, that's the version we have, and it's it's the lyrics. It's got this great hook to it. It's catchy. It's really a great song, and it's a song that you performed not long ago. You made your US TV debut on James Corden. Excellent. You've got your mug. I love to see that. And what I love about the performance is that you brought a little piece of home with you, with the instrumentation. And I was kind of trying to zero in on what those guys were playing. What was your plan when you were going to introduce yourself to the US audience on TV? What was kind of your vision for that? Because it was cool to see those instruments brought in.
The initial idea, the creative directors of my team, but of course I feel like it's not even my mission, it's just my desire, and it's part of myself. Like I want to be who I am. And how do we show it? Like, how do we show where I come from? How do we share my story in the little details? And I want to talk about my country a lot because I feel like it's important. And there's not a lot of Armenians who have this. I mean, it's truth. Like, I have some kind of an audience that I can speak to about what's happening. And it wasn't only the traditional instruments. We also had the rags from actually 1800s. The rugs on the floor are Armenian rugs. And I mean, the necklace everything was in the details. And honestly, I have to say that version of Snap is my favorite, not because it's because it's kind of Armenian or whatever. It just sounded very mature, more mature than, because I grew as an artist a lot too. Like, it's 4 years, like I wrote it 4 years ago. And I was very happy to do my first TV appearance with that strong statement of who I am, what can I do as an artist, what I appreciate in this world. And I think it was just a strong kind of statement. And I'm really trying to carry that with me throughout the next performances or whatever. That was a very, very happy moment for me, being on Late Show. It was just, it was just so cool.
That's great to hear. And so many more people are going to be seeing you perform here in the U.S. I'm with Rosa Linn here on The Current, and I know that I have to let you go pretty soon, but I can't let you go without mentioning that recently it was announced that you're going to be doing a bunch of opening dates with Ed Sheeran on the North American tour. I mean, how did that come together? How are you feeling about that? That's very exciting, and that opportunity for people to get to know you on stage as a performer.
Well, first of all, I'm very lucky to have Tamara and Alex as my managers, because they bring the best people in the business. And I have a great agent, Marty Diamond, who made it happen. And I just can't believe, everything in my head, like my plans, okay, like in 2 years, I'm going to do this. In 5 years, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be able to be here. But it just happens so much faster. Like, I would never think that I would open for Ed at this point of my career. And I was doing a lot of covers of his songs, and now I'm going to open for him. It's just crazy coming from Armenia. It's just, this is like it's just impossible, I'm very, very privileged to, honestly, to work with people that I work with. It's every day. The other day I was in the studio with Diane Warren, and I wrote with Dan Wilson twice.
Oh, Dan Wilson, he's from where we are in the Twin Cities. We know Dan.
he wrote the songs that he wrote are on my top list, and just me having an opportunity to work with these people. And I can say like a lot of names, and I'm just, what did I do to have this?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the sacrifice? The sacrifice is a very big thing. Like, it's kind of scary too, like, to think about, okay, why is this so good? What's gonna happen next? I'm that kind of a person. I'm like, when something's good, I'm like, oh,
when's the bottom gonna drop out, right? Yeah. Well, I love that you got to do some songwriting with Dan Wilson. I absolutely love that. And it sounds like you have such good people around you, and the way that you acknowledge the people around you, again, in that word authenticity. You just keep rolling with that and ride in that wave. You've got a major label deal now. Then that would probably indicate at some point that you'd be ready to put out a record. And I don't know if you have anything to share, but that's the conclusion that I can kind of come to at some point.
I am. I spent 2 months already in the US writing every day, literally every day. Sometimes it's a double session. So I'm working very, very hard on this album. I think it's going to come out in spring.
Okay.
And it's just amazing. I love each and every one of the songs that I wrote, and it's going to break my heart to choose from whatever we have now. But it's very close. It's very close. The songs are almost done, and it's going to be wonderful. I'm in love with this project. It's going to be amazing.
Rosa Linn here on The Current. Really, really nice to talk to you and to meet you. And I wish nothing but the best for you. And again, you'll be on tour, and we look forward to hearing more from you with a new record, possibly in the springtime. We'll see. All right. Well, Rosa Linn, yeah, you take care, and I appreciate you talking with us this morning.
Appreciate it. Thank you.